I was recently watching a panel discussion where you and the Minister of Health were discussing the marijuana legislation, the proposed marijuana legislation. And I forget even who the host was, but of particular interest to me was a comment that you made that you had not ever been a cannabis user, nor did you expect to be after this legislation was passed. And so my first question, and I'll ask them both, but is why is it not a good thing for you, but it's okay for others and even for the youth of our society to have access to cannabis as a recreational drug? And so that's my first question, and I commend you for your position, your personal position. But secondly, when I look at the legislation that you say you're very proud of that your government has presented so far in the last year and a half, and I look at C-14, which is the medical assistance in dying legislation, which now allows Canadians to legally have their lives terminated with the assistance of a physician. Bill C-16, which addresses what I think is an imaginary gap in both our Canadian Human Rights Act and our Criminal Code. Bill C-32, which repeals Section 159 of the Criminal Code, which addresses anal sex. And Bill C-37, which repeals the Respect for Community Acts, which will now make it easier for safe injection sites to be located in different communities right across Canada. And, of course, the most recent one, Bill C-45, the legalization of marijuana. And my question on all those issues is I think, quite simple. It seems to me that these pieces of legislation seem to have a particular theme to them, and I'm wondering what is it that motivates your government to, in my opinion, be so bent on recklessly determined to destroy our social and moral fabric?
Well, I completely disagree with your last statement. Our government is committed to ensuring that we uphold the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and ensure that everybody, one, has the freedom to be themselves, ensure that every individual is accorded the same respect and dignity in a country as great as Canada. As Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of Canada, I will and not ever apologize for putting legislation forward that provides the means for individuals who qualify to access medical assistance in dying. I will not apologize for ensuring I protect the rights of those who have a different gender identity or expression. Bill 159 of the Criminal Code has been deemed unconstitutional, and we are going to move that legislation forward. We are making decisions as a government that ensures we uphold what makes this country great, which is its diversity. We benefit from having a Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it is my most important job that we ensure that we uphold those rights. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be doing my job. And I will not apologize for those pieces of legislation, but I will stand up and I will shout from the rooftops as to the substantive public policy that stands behind each of those legislation and then those bills. I would be happy to have a conversation with you, sir, about the public policy reasons behind all of those pieces of legislation. And as to whether or not I've smoked cannabis, it is completely irrelevant whether or not I have smoked cannabis. What is relevant is the public policy reason why we've put forward Bill C-45, and that is to ensure when we legalize, strictly regulate, and restrict access to marijuana, that we do better than the status quo right now and ensure that we keep it out of the hands of kids and the proceeds out of the hands of criminals. So if you want to challenge me on the public policy reasons behind the legislation, I'm happy to engage.